Hey guys, it's Glink. Today I want to talk about something that's kind of happening with the WoW regionals and the PvP scene right now, which I think is kind of interesting. And that is the disqualifications that Blizzard has announced will happen, and some of which have already happened, to some of the regionals competitors, both for North America and Europe. Recently also, Jamie, one of the European players, a shaman, pretty well known over there for being a good shaman, got DQ'd for playing with Blizzo, another competitor who was on a pilot at the time, and so he basically got DQ'd by proxy of playing with someone else who was piloting an account, which is of course against the terms of service. And I think we can expect a few more disqualifications to be happening as well. But this whole situation kind of brings up some greater points about Blizzard, the competitive scene of WoW, and I wanted to kind of talk about that and offer some perspectives that maybe you didn't think about, because to me this is kind of interesting. All right, so first of all, Jamie, like I said, is a well-known shaman. He's a good player. He was actually at regionals last year, and he was on the team Toxic Youth with Joe Fernandez and a few others, which actually was looking to be one of the stronger teams, I believe, since Joe actually won BlizzCon last year as Turbo. So of course, him getting disqualified in a game like WoW not only affects him, but also his teammates, who are now a weaker team basically, and they have to find another player to replace him, or else their comps are not going to be as good. And what's interesting to me is that Blizzard is so serious about DQs that the reason they apparently banned Jamie was because he was actually just playing with someone who was on a boost. That someone being Blizzo, who got disqualified, of course. Doesn't that seem a little bit odd to anyone else? I mean, I don't know if this was like on Twitch or VODed or there's any like record of this, because I feel like you would need proof that Jamie knew Blizzo was on the account. I know you could say, well, they're both good players, they definitely knew each other. Yeah, I get it, but I mean, couldn't he just easily make the argument that, hey, I didn't even know he was that player on a boost. I didn't even know who it was. I just got invited and I queued up, which is possible. I mean, it's not very likely, but it's possible. I mean, you could make that argument. So that's number one. It seems like a pretty strict ruling. And you might say, well, you know, Blizzard needs to do this because they're cracking down on cheaters. This is a tournament. This is a big deal. They can't just allow people who are even associated with cheating to be competing in this. And okay, I understand that. That makes sense. You're right. But to me, it's incredibly inconsistent because Blizzard with the ladder does not seem to be as strict at all. In fact, from what I understand, a lot of players who did pilots actually didn't get DQ'd at all on the ladder. And while Blizzard actually did ban people for disqualifications during the season, near the end of the season, hardly any people got disqualified. And furthermore, I can guarantee you the vast majority of players in rank 1 range or even glad range and above have certainly played with people on pilots before. So if you really wanted to enforce this rule, hundreds if not thousands of players, many of which again would be rank 1 and regionals players, I believe, would be DQ'd. So to me this seems like totally selective enforcement. It's great that Blizzard is trying to be so serious about DQs, be it in a sort of inconsistent way, only caring about a tournament setting and not being like that with the ladder, but if they even put half that much seriousness into actually designing PvP and into tournaments themselves, WoW PvP would actually be in a much better place right now. Like, they're being so strict on the ruling for DQs and terms of service, which again, you can't blame them for, although again, it is kind of inconsistent. But it's like that amount of care and attention is not even given to the actual thing that people are playing. They're focusing so primarily on upholding some sort of integrity for this tournament when they could actually have a tournament that more people cared about outside of the arena community if they invested more time and effort in that itself. And that kind of points out to me that the whole disqualifications thing is not even really about PvP. I really don't think Blizzard cares about PvP arena that much at all. No, the disqualifications are simply because in Blizzard's eyes, this is people earning achievements that they don't deserve, which is against the rules of the game. It's nothing to do with PvP specifically. If this was for raiding and there was some sort of raiding competition, I'm sure they would be just as strict on that. Now, it could be wrong, but that's just kind of what it looks like to me. Yeah, it sounds like Blizzard's cracking down on PvP and trying to make every tournament seem super official, but yeah, maybe they're just trying to keep the integrity of their game intact and they don't want their game flooded with people selling achievements, whether they be PvP achievements or not. And it just so happens that one of the most common ways to do this is by selling arena carries, which is another thing I wanted to touch on. Where exactly do you draw the line between something like this? I mean, usually it seems like it would be if you're playing someone else's account, you're banned, that's against the terms of service. Okay, got it. Obviously, Blizzard does not ban people for self-plays. That is, you have someone paying 2 other players to carry him in 3s or paying someone to carry him in 2s, because that would be ridiculously hard to enforce, to get proof of, and a lot of people would be banned for that. But actually, apparently you can be banned for just playing with someone else who's on a piloted account. Okay. And that to me just seems kind of arbitrary. I mean, what if someone's being piloted in RBGs? Does that mean the 9 other players on his team, most of which probably don't even know that it's a pilot, are going to be banned as well? Again, this affects so many people. Like, I personally know pretty much everyone who does Arena at a high rating has played with people on pilots before, knowingly or not. Like half the time they don't even know it. I know this because I've played with people on the ladder who have done pilots and I don't even know who they are because people change their name all the time. So it's like, is this a pilot? Is this just someone changing their name? Is it just that person's alternate account? I mean, that happens too. I'm not even sure, really. You can call that self-incriminating, but again, I'm just pointing out how hard this is to really enforce and how it's kind of unrealistic. Now, on the other hand, if you do have proof in the form of like a Twitch VOD of these two people talking and they're trying to negotiate a sale and one person's like, all right, just log on this account and I'll give you like a cut of the money or something. Okay, yeah, that's different. That I understand. And maybe that's what happened with the Jamie and Blizzo case. I'm not really sure. Not all of what I'm saying is necessarily related to their case, so don't get me wrong about that. But I'm just saying on principle alone, that seems like the only way that this could actually be enforced properly. Even if you're trying to be super strict on regionals players, most of the time it just seems like a pretty arbitrary ruling. Anyways, so those are just some thoughts on that. I'm kind of curious to see what you guys think, if you agree, if you think I'm trying to defend the cheaters or something. I'm not. I'm just giving some honest opinions and thinking about this in a bigger picture sort of way, because certain parts of it just kind of don't make sense to me. Anyways, thanks for watching. Let me know if you enjoyed this kind of video. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.